So we have Coach Adia Barnes and her coach, Joan Bonvicini, here for Wildcats for Life today. So how you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Great day to be a Wildcat, Adam. Wildcat for life. That's a good way.
There you go. I love it.
So let's get started here. So Coach B, can you talk about recruiting Adia and how you got her to Arizona?
Absolutely. So we had heard about Adia in the fall of her senior year. Her numbers were really good as a junior, but she wasn't being recruited the way I felt that the kind of numbers she had, she should. And and it's because she was an undersized post player. So we decided to wait and to watch, and I sent an assistant out, I don't know, February or whatever, her senior year, because her numbers went up even more from her junior. I think, what did you average, Adia, about 27?
I don't remember.
Yeah, no, a lot. So it's
time.
like now 27 points a game. So I sent an assistant out, and they called back right after the game and said, Joan, you need to get out here. So this was now beginning CIF playoffs in that's a big thing in California. So I went to a CIF game, and it must have been March 1st, March 2nd, because that's now a contact period again. So I went and watched this game, and Adia just dominated. I was very, very impressed, and I did something I don't know. I think only one other time I've done it, but she was the first one I did it. After the game, once she was released by her high school coach, I told her right then I was offering her a scholarship.
I didn't know that was only the second time. I never knew that.
No, it's true. So I went in. I was very, very impressed. And, because I liked, you look at players and you recruit them, and they have all these numbers, or people say they're this or that. The thing I liked about Adia was her internal motor, like how hard she worked. And that definitely resonated with me. She wasn't tall, but she played so much bigger and tough and strong. And I really felt it'd be a good fit for us at Arizona.
Now, Adia, when did you know that you wanted to play for Arizona and Joan?
Well, like Coach B said, I was called Coach B still after all these years. See, I still call her that. I can't not call her that. That's what's funny. But so I was under recruited, but like everybody at the time was telling me, don't go to Arizona, because this is like my high school coaches and different people. Don't go to Arizona because you will be a small fish in a huge pond. It'll be hard to play there. You can go to a mid-major or a smaller school and be a star. So I wasn't really sure, but I think the connection, and I felt like she really wanted me, and I came to campus. I saw Mikhail. It felt right. And then the other thing for me, I'm really close to my family. So my dad and mom could drive to games on the weekend. They could get here in 6 hours from California. So there was all those things. And it's funny, at the time, I didn't realize I had a connection with Coach B. Didn't understand why, but years later, realized Coach B has the same birthday as my mom, and Coach B's Italian. So obviously Bonvicini. So I think there was things that I just felt a draw to her, and her and Arizona. It was just the right place, and I was willing to bet on me and come here and take a chance, but I didn't know what to expect.
So then, Coach B, did you see Adia becoming the player that she became? Like, did you see that coming?
Not to the level that she ended up developing. I really felt that she could be special. And, Adia just mentioned, that connection. You have to have someone you have to feel that they believe in you. And that's how you connect with people as a coach, or even as a manager or a person in charge. But I think Adia felt that I believed in her. And I think I saw things in Adia she probably wasn't sure she saw in herself, and then when we had a good relation, I mean, I would definitely challenge her. There's no question about
she ran me a lot my first 2 years, but it was good reason. I understood why later.
Yeah, she was not a bad kid at all, but she was used to doing things on her own time. She wasn't disrespectful, but she wasn't always, I'll just say she wasn't on time a lot.
No.
Yeah. Am I right?
You're right. And you know the things that were hard for me? I was 17, so I was like a year
Right.
younger than everybody. And I had never done a lot of those things on my own. Obviously, never been away from home like everybody going to college. But like my mom would wake me up and all those
Yeah.
things. And I was at a little bit of a disadvantage because I roomed with one of my teammates. She played volleyball and basketball. So I didn't have like a roommate could be like, oh, let's wake up and go to 6 a.m. And years ago, we had like 6 weeks of like, you have to wake up at 5 in the morning for 6 a.m. One time I set my alarm for PM. It wasn't that I meant to do it, but like I wasn't used to doing all that stuff and I was young. Looking back, I really wish I would have gone like a year later because I wasn't ready for a lot of things.
Well, you still did okay. Yeah. So she had a good freshman year. Our team struggled because we were so young, and hindsight, like I know I overscheduled as far as the kind of teams we played. I mean, we played Vanderbilt, we played Tennessee, we were in Hawaii playing Florida. I mean, they were all ranked. Although we got better in the conference the second half, we really improved. And Adia was named the at that time Pac-10 Freshman of the Year. And I think the thing that, and Adia can answer this, but I think the thing that helped Adia was when she went from her freshman to sophomore year is just she became more self-disciplined. And it's not big things, they're little things. And so we didn't have a problem with her being late anymore because I think she realized that, and so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you realized that like I was going to hold you to a certain standard as I was other people. But what I did to get her out of that mode, I punished the rest of the team and made Adia.
That got me actually.
So that's why things changed. So I made Adia sit down and watch, and I ran the rest of her teammates, and that really upset her. So we didn't have a problem after that.
Can you believe it? That was like hard.
Yeah.
And they got the crap ran out of them, like dying and yelling, and like, I mean, I don't know how much they ran, but we had Carla Garrett, who was a tough strength and conditioning coach. She used to murder us. And look, it's not like today. The rules are a lot different today. Like, it's easier today. But I think you got me a chair.
I did. Yeah.
I sat at half court and had to watch them get the crap ran out of them. And after that, I felt so bad.
Well, I had to figure out a way to get to you, and that because we needed you to go to another level, and and anyway, you did, and obviously made a big impact. So from our freshman to sophomore year, the team improved significantly. I think sort of very similar to what happened to your team 2 years ago. Very similar paths, and won the NIT. And then Adia, that summer, your sophomore year, I don't know if you remember, you went to Japan.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so I was named the head coach of the Pac-12 All-Star team, or Pac-10 All-Star team, and we had a player from each team. And we actually traveled with the men's team and went through different cities in Japan and played games against different Japanese teams. I think that helped Adia also.
Well, with the focus and motivation, all those things. And I was just really young. I mean, 17 in college was young.
Yeah. And, I think also being around in that environment, to be around other players who were arguably the best player on their team. And it was good. And I pushed them pretty hard too. Mm-hmm. So it was fun. And then the junior year was sort of like your year this year, maybe even you were better. I mean, but either way, there were a lot of similarities to what's going on, but Adia really got better. And I think nationally people were knowing, started to know who she was, and it was exciting.
Yeah, it's very similar to the rebuild here. It really is, but I think the difference is, like Coach B said, we played like Tennessee and Vanderbilt on the same weekend.
Yeah,
and they were really good. This is when they were like.
Yeah, well, Tennessee was always good, but Vanderbilt was. They went to a Final Four. I don't know if it was that year. They were great. We played a lot of tough teams, and and it was no fun to lose. But I think it really paid dividends in the long run.
And I think the other similarity, which I think the story was amazing, was that for us to play, now me as a coach, to play
Right.
in NIT against the same team we played as a player, different coach, against
Right.
Northwestern to win it. I think that was pretty amazing, and that was kind of that was the avalanche to start everything else. And kind of like now, this year would have been a really special year for us in the tournament. So
Right.
it's very similar.
Yeah, and so I think the similarities, obviously, you're very different player than Ari McDonald,
Yeah.
but both very impactful in a lot of different ways. I mean, you're different players and positions, but both you and Ari have made huge impacts both on and off the court.
Well, I think, and Ari is like so much better than me, but I think the thing about us was that like Ari plays with heart, competitive. That's how I was. Like, you didn't have to tell me to play hard. It was just you were gonna play hard. I was trying to win every sprint. All
Right.
those things. It's very similar in just how our passion on the court, I think, and that is.
Well, I 100% agree. You know, I think every coach, and now you're in this position, wants to win. But when you get the players to want to do it as much as you do, and they want, those players want to please the coach, that's how you get to be successful.
Yeah.
So, Adia, I guess how much did Coach B like really mean to you in your college career?
I mean, just everything. I think changed who I was. Came in here young, immature, not ready, didn't know what to expect, didn't know if I'd play at this level, to becoming a good player. But it was the tough love in the first year and a half, or probably the first, probably a year, that really taught me lessons, because it's stuff I didn't even realize. It's stuff you can get away with all through high school and stuff I didn't even realize. So breaking those things with tough love, or to holding you accountable, holding you to a higher standard, then you see someone really cares about more than you as a basketball player. Because if they only cared about basketball, they would let things fly. So I think those things really just made me want to be better. And then you don't want to be disappointing someone. You want to play for your coach. And I think all those things, but the maturity, like the evolution of me becoming a leader, was the growth in college because of her. And I wouldn't have been where I am today without all those lessons. I learned the most valuable lessons those 4 years. I think it's the most, it's the years that leave the imprint on your life. And I mean, I learned, if you think about all the things I learned: accountability, work ethic, constructive criticism, failure, just you have to do self-checks all the time. All those things, it changes who you are. So I think that was the foundation to everything. And I think, it's funny because we were like a pressing team for like 40 minutes, played aggressive. I mean, I was on the top of the press. It's funny because when I first started coaching, I didn't coach like that. I was kind of comfortable, a little bit more pack line. I decided to kind of say, okay, let me go with my gut. Let me do things I loved doing as a player. And we changed that. It was the best decision I made. It made us one of the best defensive teams in the country and in the Pac-12. Right. But I didn't do that at first. Now I'm learning to follow my gut. What did I like as a player? I loved it. So I'm going back to what we did as a player. So I think, those things just, it impacts your life. If you have a good mentor in those 4 years, in every area, on the court, off the court, impacts you, and it leaves an imprint. It's the foundation for everything. And then she's the one I called when I got the offer to take this job. I wasn't sure if I was going to take it. Not every job is a great job. I talked to her about it. So it's those things. And I talked to you through most of the phases of my life, like WNBA, all those things. When I got drafted to the WNBA, she flew with me to Chicago. Yeah. So all those things are just important. When you're finding a school, you need to have that connection with your coach. Because honestly, you go for the school, but you really, you go for the coach and then the school. People say school first. It's not school first. Because you go for the coach who you want to play for, who help you be your best, and then the school. So that's just the truth, and people don't say that though.
So what did Coach B say to you when you got offered the Arizona job?
Gosh, that was like 20-something years ago.
No, recently, like when you took the job. So I guess what advice did she give to you when you came to talk to her about it?
Well, she gave me so much advice. I don't know. I talked to her like every 3 days. I think just
a lot of times I just listened.
Yeah, like I call sometimes. It's a complaint fest, or it's like I have questions because she's won so much. I mean, and it's so she's been through all the adversity that I'm going through as a coach, as a player, all those things. So when I first took the job, it was about how to rebuild and what that looks like, and how to, the staff, and if there were certain questions I had, like, I don't know if this is the fit. She gives the honest feedback because she has no reason to not be honest. And sometimes the honesty can be you're wrong, or you can't do that, or that's not the right thing to do. And sometimes like that's a great decision, I would do that. Or sometimes it's the push to, yeah, you need to go address that. So there's things that it's just valuable because this job is not easy, and you're gonna face so much adversity, especially when you're rebuilding a program and nothing's perfect. So to be able to talk to someone, and then someone, and she's in Tucson, I'm lucky. And it's funny, I think she follows me everywhere because I moved to I moved to Seattle. She was working in Seattle, so we had a
I
relationship.
never thought about it like that. That's right.
Then, no, it's funny. It's just coincidentally.
Yeah.
And then I started coaching there, and then who knew she was going to come back to Tucson? Like, she could have moved anywhere.
Yeah.
And then she happens to be back in Tucson, broadcasting and stuff, and I'm here. So she comes to practices, she evaluates stuff. So it's great to use her. It's very helpful to me.
So Coach B, you have obviously had a good look at the program since Adia's been here, calling games in Pac-12, coming to practices all the time. How have you seen Adia evolve as a coach?
Well, I've told her this. I think, and we do talk, and sometimes it's quite often, it's on her because she's busy, but I listen, and I always ask permission. I'll say, is it okay if I, give you some advice, or can I share something? And she usually, all the time, is very open. I wasn't sure, to be honest, initially, because I knew she was walking into a very difficult situation. I wasn't sure how much, and it wasn't just that the team was down, it was just culture-wise, a number of things needed to change. And honestly, that's the more difficult part of the job. But I have been literally, and I'm not just saying this, but amazed of how quickly the culture has changed. And I think that's because Adia and her staff, but it really starts with Adia. And then the players, she's modeled the behavior she wants to see. So she wants the players out in the community, appreciative, giving back. That's what they do, but that's what she does. And you can tell that's from her heart. People can tell right away. Obviously, so that's off the court, but it impacts everything on the court. I think academically, the team has just turned things around, right? Their GPA, graduation rates, everything are the best it's ever been. So I've been super impressed. And then obviously the basketball, I think Adia's outstanding recruiter because she connects with people. And, I say this jokingly, but I said this to her. I don't know if you remember this, Adia. I said to you, do you know how you get a good team? And they're all like, she's all ears. And she's like, yeah. I said, you need good players. And everyone starts laughing. But, I mean, let's be honest. There's no other way to do it. I mean, you can sugarcoat things or, try to hide things. But and she has good players, and they're getting better. But, I think the best thing about Adia, she is competitive, self-confident, and you never want to she'll never back down from a challenge. So if she thinks, hey, I'm going to go recruit this kid, and they're in Florida, New York, wherever, Georgia, she's going to go out and recruit them. She doesn't care who she's going against. Like, she has that much confidence in what that does. It translates to the team. So all those things combined, I think, is why you've done really well.
Do you see any tendencies that she kept as a player right now that she uses in her coaching?
Yeah, I want to hear this. I was mean on the court.
Yeah, like when I talked about Adia as a player, like off the court, she was sweet and nice, but on the court she was not. I mean, a lot of the players from other teams really thought she was really nasty. They hated playing against her, which honestly is a great compliment. Because anyone I know who's any good, no one likes to play against them. You could be nice off the court, but I think she takes it personal to a point, not in a bad way, but in a good way. You take it personal when you're playing, and when you're coaching, and when you want to do well. You want your players to do well. I think those are all really good qualities. I mean, I'm amazed of how quickly the program has advanced, of how the community is bought in. It's unbelievable. And obviously I love watching Ari McDonald in person, calling games. How much she has impacted the team and the program. And, good players want to be around other good players. And I mean, I've talked to Adia about this a lot, of how when you get a player like Ari, people watch how you coach her, of having an opportunity to be one of the best in the country, letting her play her game. But she's gotten better and improved, and obviously so is the team.
Now, Adia, is there any sort of, I guess, coaching tendency that you have right now that you said, Joan did this back when she coached me?
This might be scary.
Oh, Joan yelled more, I think.
Did you what?
You yelled more.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was a player's coach. No, probably the similarities are let your players play. So I hated as a player, not with Coach B, but other coaches, where it's like every first quarter, let's say. This is in Europe mainly. They pull you out like the 5-minute mark every first quarter. I hated that. That drove me crazy as a player. I used to want to like pull my hair out. But she's like a player's coach. So if I was like going off the first half, there wasn't quarters, but if I was going off the first half, she would let me play and use like a timeout to rest, or, you don't get tired. Great players don't get tired, right? So I think I let Ari play. Like if Ari's in the zone,
right?
Ari's scored 6 times in a row. Like there was one game, I don't know if you remember, Ari was like in fuego. And then she comes down and she shoots a 3 like off. She takes it off the dribble, shoots a 3, and she air balls it by like 10 feet. Mm-hmm. We laughed on the court because I would have done the same thing. I was hot. If I just scored like 15 in a row, I would have taken that shot. So I think when you're a player and you used to be that type of player, like a scoring, right, like a scorer, you let your players play. So I think the similarities are just being a player's coach. And Coach B and I talk a lot about like letting your best player play. I mean, I don't need to sit there and say, oh, she's got to, like, I think you let the best players play because there's a couple reasons. The best players in the country watch how you coach her, especially if they're at her same position. And it's like, you just let them be free, not look to the bench for mistakes. I never did that with Coach B. And a lot of players, they play really, they play in handcuffs. And so I think those similarities and I think the intensity, our defense, we were a very good defensive team with Coach B. We were pressing, we were had athletes, we were playing up tempo. So I like that style. That's been the best decision I made. Changing our defense with pretty much the same personnel. We didn't have the personnel to really play our type of defense. We didn't have 7 athletes, but we had a buy-in and a system. Right. And I think it's a fun style. And I loved playing as a player. I loved getting steals at the top of the press. So I just like playing that style a lot better.
So last thing, and this is kind of for Coach B. So how special is it? I mean, you've been really close to Adia since she was 15, 16 years old, right? How special is it to see her be the best player in Arizona history and then go on and become the coach and just to see, how fast this program is rising?
Right. Well, I'm really proud of Adia in so many ways. And, to see her grow first as a player, as a young woman, and, to be a pro for so long. I mean, you basically had to change your game from when you became a professional. And whatever Adia's decided to do, I mean, she was a broadcaster and a good one, and then became an assistant, and you had learned a lot. You were a very good assistant. And then to do those same things here at Arizona, but do it on a timeline no one expected. I mean, I'd never expected it to be this quick. It's amazing because she's impacted the program in so many ways. I mean, as I said, in the community, on the court, academically. I think she's an excellent role model, and I'm really proud of Adia. People always ask me, because I call games for Pac-12, if I have a hard time calling games for Arizona, because obviously I'd like to see Adia and the team do well. But when I'm calling the games, I just say what's going on. I don't think I show a bias whatsoever. But it's fun, and I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm close to the program in Adia, and to really watch it change has been amazing.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And that should do it for us today. So it's great to talk to you too. And
Thank you.
hope you guys are doing well and staying safe.
Yes, we've socially distanced. This is the closest I've been to Adia in a couple months.
I know. Hey, this has been, and honestly, we're all like, Zoom calls and stuff, but
right.
For a coach, and I think you never have downtime. You never have weeks to study, and we are busy. We're really working the same, but like to have the time to develop, I think all the coaches around the country, you have to use this time to get better. And I think to be able to sit there and make a plan and have hours and hours to do it, it's kind of a blessing in disguise in some ways. Not because of the pandemic, but I'm just saying the time as a coach to work on yourself and your focus and your just your planning for the future. I think it's been a good time for growth.
Absolutely. And I know it's great for you to be with Salvo and Mateo too.
Yeah, and pregnant, so.
And pregnant. So on top of that, yeah.
But we're happy. So Wildcat for life. I'm producing another Wildcat for life.
Yes, you are.
So maybe it's a future recruit. Who knows?
Who knows? Yes. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you guys, and bear down.
Thank you.
Bear down.